All right, everybody, welcome back to Relentless Talk Radio. This is the fourth and last segment of the 30th episode of Relentless Talk Radio. It's the entrepreneurism segment. It's one of my faves. Actually, they're all my fave, all four of them, but this is really one of my faves because I have a soft spot for entrepreneurs. So I have Jeffrey Meyerson on with us today, and he is from Radix Law. So Jeff, tell everybody who you are and what you do at Radix Law and just more about you, the person.
Yeah. I am a partner at Radix Law. I do estate planning and business law. They always ask me what that means, and people get so bored when I say that. I'm a conversation killer at the parties. Like, people will, hey, what do you do? I'm like, you don't want to ask that question. Don't want to ask that question. But the way that I like to think about it, because it makes me feel a lot more excited about it, is that I'm like a Sherpa, right? And I'm with my clients and we're on this transaction and there's this big mountain to climb and they know where they need to go, but they don't really know how to get there in the best way possible. And so I guide them through the mountain that is the transaction, and I carry the rope and the gear, and hopefully they go along for the ride and enjoy it. But, really, like I said, I read and write all day long. And so following people that get to interact with people and have fun is a daunting challenge. But what makes my job so cool is I am an integral part of probably 300 companies' success. They look to me for legal guidance. They look to me for business guidance. That's one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand about business attorneys is we are counselors. And so I am not just giving legal advice. My clients look to me for to bounce ideas off of that are business ideas and whatnot. And so it really does make my job a lot more interesting than it sounds when I tell somebody at a party what I do. So
it's funny. I think lawyers get a bad rap because people always think about, like getting busted by an attorney and having them go after thing. But for me, like I grew up in a family business. I've had a business. Attorneys, and I think there's a difference in my mind between a lawyer and an attorney, the way I think about it. It's the same thing, but it's different. You are an integral part of my team. If I have a need or a question, I'm creating a new product, I'm doing something different, I'm doing something new, I'm running those things by you, and we're deciding on what we need to blow out and actually pay attention to. But there's nothing worse than having something in your mind that you think, oh gee, maybe that could be a problem, and not having someone to talk about. Because having you say to me, oh Michelle, don't worry about that. I'm like, okay, good, I'm not going to worry about that. Awesome. Or, Michelle, that's really kind of something we need to look at. Let's make an appointment and talk about that because this, and this could happen. And therefore, as a business owner, where I need to put my attention. And the same thing with estate law, right? Probate.
Yeah, both for sure. I think one of the things that's true in real life and in law is, and I think most people would agree with this, is the goal in life is sort of major on the major and minor on the minors. The trouble comes when you don't know what a major is and don't know what a minor is, right? So in industries, when we look for help, for me, cars, I love cars, but I don't know anything about what's under the hood of a car, right? So I don't know what a major issue is. So I have to go to somebody that I trust that will tell me what the major issue is, or, oh, don't worry about that, we can fix that next time. And so attorneys, lawyers, I don't know, one of us is, we're kind of the auto mechanics of the business world because I feel like we have a lot of information that people don't even know exists. And so when you don't work with an attorney, a lot of times you're at a severe disadvantage only because you don't know what you don't know.
And which one of those unknowns is really going to be they take your house, your car, your kids, when do I have to give up my firstborn kind of deal? So what do you think, in your experience, the biggest challenges for small business owners / families when it comes to estate law? So for both those areas that you focus on,
Yeah.
In the business world, what's the biggest thing that small business owners should pay attention to? I know there's lots of bigs, but one.
Yeah, I mean, so the reality of it all is that small business owners typically don't need attorneys all of the time.
Right.
Right. I have, of the hundreds of clients that I have, most of them I talk to, once or twice a year. And then I have a very select group of companies that are always active, always doing work. Right. And so I would say small businesses, the common theme I see is with internal relations among owners, succession planning.
Right.
And all of those are interrelated. I mean, it's part of the reason why I do both estate planning and business law, is because you can't really do one without the other, as far as the planning goes. So when you have somebody that has and owns a successful business, their personal planning and their business planning, they're linked. You can't untie them.
As a former financial advisor, I used to tell the people the same thing. If we're planning your retirement and your business is your biggest asset, and you have a partner and your partner passes away and you don't have a way to exchange ownership of your business, and you end up doing business with your partner's wife, who might be a very nice lady, maybe not a nice lady, but doesn't have expertise in whatever it is, that widget that you're selling or making. Now you're doing business with your partner's wife, and maybe that partner has a 51% control. A wife that maybe hated the pool business can just shut that down, right? So that's something when you're planning for the future, you want to pay attention to, right?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things I do, there's an agreement that is very common for LLCs, and LLCs in Arizona are one of the most popular entity choices. And the agreement is for any LLC, but really LLCs that have more than one owner. Mm-hmm. Spells out everything from management, financial, ownership, what happens if someone passes away, what happens if they're disabled, what happens if they get divorced and their interest doesn't pass to them. And we lay it all out while things are still
in the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, I mean, how many people go into business planning to fail, right? None. So when you can catch them early and people understand the value that comes from certainty in the future, and understand that, the death of a member oftentimes causes a company to go under. I mean, think about, there's so many people that have buyout agreements. When somebody dies, it's like, oh yeah, I'll buy out your spouse. But they don't think about the fact that, hey, this person was handling 50% of the business. Or worse, I have a lot of clients where one guy is sort of the back office, keep everything together, and the other guy's the sales guy.
Right.
You lose that sales guy, and now all of a sudden you try to stick the back office guy out in the field.
You have to replace their salary.
You
should be able to hire somebody to be your sales guy now.
Yeah, so there's a number of different ways, and none of them are legal related, although they do get implicated in the agreements I draft. Right. But either to cross-purchase life insurance on each other, so that if one of them dies, the other one receives the proceeds and then can use that money to buy out the partner. Or to have, I guess, would be to have the company buy what's called and known as a key man insurance policy, right? So you have these key man insurance policies that allow the company to continue while they look for a replacement for, a deceased employee or owner or whatever. Okay. And all of them, honestly, it's finding the right team, like you said. It's not just me. There's insurance, there's the financial planner, there's the CPA, and making sure that we all work together to make sure that their business and their personal life financially are on track. So many people they're good at one or the other, but not both.
Right. And I also think that there's some people that are wearing several hats. So when I owned my salon back east, I actually had a plan that would pay for 5 salaries because I was doing right. I know this surprises you, right, Jeff?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all.
I was doing the marketing. I was doing the sales. I was the cleaning person. I did the laundry too, right? By the way,
Yeah.
right? And I also in the wintertime I did all the shoveling and I did all the yard work. So I mean that was just 5 of the big heavy lifting things I can think of off the top of my head. But when it came down to it, I had to have a policy in place that would protect the people that I was employing, so they just didn't get they get tossed out in the street like without having those things taken care of. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I also think that from an estate planning point of view, there's also some interesting things about probate that I think people don't think of. They think that if they just have a power of attorney and they have like a note in green crayon in the I don't know, in their filing cabinet somewhere, that's going to keep their people in their family from out of being in probate. And probate can go on forever and it can cause serious problems. People can lose their houses and their cars and the kids can not be fed, and there's major problems with being in probate for a long time. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the estate planning piece, I look at probate more, yes, it can be a gigantic pain. Arizona actually isn't too bad.
Okay, that's good to know.
The informal process goes, but it does give people the opportunity to contest a will when they may otherwise not know what's going on. So a vast majority of my clients look similar to me. I'm 43 years old. I've got kids that are under 18. Just so happens that that's the biggest segment of my client base. But I have 80, 90-year-old clients that have kids that are in their 50s that they still want to make sure are protected. And so really a vast majority of the consideration that I'm looking at when I'm doing estate planning for somebody is what is it that they want to accomplish, right? And for the most part, people want to pass on some sort of legacy, but they want to do it in a way that doesn't entitle the beneficiary or make the beneficiary feel entitled or decide that they no longer have to be a productive member of society, right? So oftentimes we're controlling distributions until later in life. We're protecting against the fact that, as one of your guests said, the divorce rate is super high. And so we're protecting against that in the future. And really just trying to give an overall plan that is as simple as possible that still accomplishes the client's goal. Now, the probate process factors into that because a trust allows you to avoid probate. And probate can get messy. And when it does get messy, it gets very messy. The issue is I can't tell any one of my clients whether or not their probate will become messy. So
Give you a crystal ball when you come out of law school?
What's that?
Give you a crystal ball when you come out of law school, right?
That'd be awesome. Although I think,
wand.
yeah, that too. I've learned that there's no magic anything in what I do. It's really just listening to the person really, really closely, knowing what questions to ask, especially in estate planning. When you talk estate planning, for the vast majority of people, there are only so many different ways that you're going to do a plan. So the real issue becomes when you're sitting across the table from your client and they're watching you, and you ask them a question and they respond in a way that is a little strange, right? Is the ability to ask the follow-up question and to create an atmosphere of trust where the client feels okay divulging very personal information. I mean, oftentimes I get a referral, somebody comes in, I sit down in the initial conversation and I'm asking very personal questions.
Right.
And so you have to create that environment. You have to be genuinely interested in trying to help somebody. It cannot be about your own gain, about money. People see right through that, and you start talking to them about personal questions and they clam up. They're like, if something feels off.
Elena Lowry from Common Sense Media was asking, do you talk about corporate and individual planning in regards to philanthropy with your clients?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I have so many of my clients want to not only leave a legacy for their family, but have charities that they want to support and whatnot. And most often, 99.9% of the time, the only way to pass assets to a charity is through a will or a trust.
Oh, so that's good to know.
You cannot, yeah, I mean, if there are organizations that people are passionate about and really want to support, one of the best ways to do it is through giving after death. But it requires planning ahead and making sure that you're actually taking that into consideration while you're alive.
Well, Jeffrey, I really appreciate you coming on and tying up the fourth segment for today.
Yeah.
How do people get a hold of you?
They can go to radixlaw.com. I'm there. I'm trying to think where else I am. I mean, almost all of my clients are referrals. So I'm not out there advertising like most people are advertising.
Right.
Probably the most public that I get, but yeah, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook. You can contact me through my law firm as well. I give my email address and phone number. I don't know what you want, but
definitely give me your telephone number and your email, and then also
okay.
Later in the comments for this Facebook Live, go ahead and put those links there so people on Facebook can find you.
Yeah. So
say your number.
My email address is just my last name, Meyerson at Radix, Radix law.com. I always give my cell phone. It feels weird to give it here, but I'm going to give it anyway. I'm going to trust you guys out there in Facebook land. 602-859-6777. And I give that to all of my clients. Honestly, accessibility in this day and age where things are moving a million miles an hour and people are expecting things yesterday, it's one of those things where being able to get a hold of your attorney or your banker or your financial advisor, not just between 9 to 5, is important. Now, that's not to say I won't respond, or I will respond, but I will review it and make sure I get back to people, in a timely manner. So.
Well, we're available 24/7 these days, and sometimes.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Well, Jeff, thanks for time. I really appreciate it, because an hour in an attorney's life is like a big deal, and you've spent an hour with us, both commenting on your fellow guests' show and also spending time with me. So thank you very much for that.
I can't bill. I'm not allowed to bill you.
Say it again.
I can't bill you.
Bill me. Absolutely. And I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yes.
The BNI Paragon. We have a Visitors Day coming up on August 21st. So if people want to visit, they can meet us in person on a Wednesday from 9:30 to 11 at BNI Paragon. They can go to bniarizona.com to learn more about that. All right. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Have a great day. Yay. Episode 30 is done today. So have a good day.